Good morning and welcome to Cawfeetawk. When I was, I don't know, how old are you, in 6th grade? The summer before 6th grade, I went to sleepaway camp. And while I was at sleepaway camp, I went for 2 months. And while I was gone, I ate my feelings. That's the only way I can explain it. My mom sent care packages of food that never affected me before. I was the skinniest kid growing up. And something happened between 5th and 6th grade. And I blew up. I came back from summer camp with, probably a solid 10 pounds. But when you're that little, 10 or 12 pounds is a lot of weight. And that started a situation with my mother and I where I no longer fit the mold. I no longer looked the part. I was the eyesore. I can remember, I remember years of horrific things that were said to me, names that were called. I would get teased at school and then come home and my mom would say pretty much the same things kids were saying at school. I understand now, as I've discussed 1,000 times, that I have the tools to compartmentalize it and go, she was doing the best she could. She thought that whole reverse psychology thing would work and that I would, man up and stop eating so much. But that didn't work. And the more she belittled me, the more I ate. And so 10 pounds turned into 20. And middle school was really tough. But the focus of this is the anger. The anger, forget the sadness, because that's a whole different coffee talk. The anger that I had towards my mother at one point was crippling. But it wasn't crippling her, it was crippling me. And I mean crippling. It caused insomnia, it caused anxiety, it caused what I didn't know then, but I know now, probably depression at times. I was isolating myself, I was hurting, which then led to me hurting other people. So we know exactly, I'm a textbook case, right? We know exactly where my pain came from there, then my father dying, and then destructive behavior. So I can track it, right? It didn't come out of nowhere. But I just want to talk about the anger. I can remember the day I decided I couldn't be angry at my mother anymore. First of all, my father was gone. My mom is my only parent. Good, bad, or indifferent, she's all I have in way of a parent. Was she the best mom? Is she the best mom? No. But she's my mom, and I love her. And even when I was angry, I loved her. And I knew that it was a relationship at some point I was going to want to repair. But so many people want to know how. There was a time in my life, a longer so the emotional abuse was from like 6th grade to say 9th grade. And then in high school, I got super skinny again. So there was no issue. But it wasn't until my late 20s that I made the decision to stop being angry at my mom. So for 3 or 4 years, I dealt with the emotional abuse. But then for a good 8 years, I held on to anger. Anger is, I walked around with a chip on my shoulder, so big, that I don't know how I didn't topple over. My mother couldn't say anything to me without me snapping at her. The anger bubbled up and it was right here all the time. So I would walk into her house. I would come home from college. Hey, Mom, how are you? Hi, honey. How's everything? Blah, blah, blah. Perfect. And the second she said anything, you gonna eat a cookie? You don't need a cookie. I would attack. It was as if granted, she shouldn't have been saying anything about my eating habits at that point. It was none of her business. I was a grown-up, 23 years old. I'll eat 100 cookies if I want to. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what she said. It was, you should put some blush on. You look nice with makeup. I would attack. Pull your hair out of your face. I can't see your face with your hair curtains down, right? I would attack. Anything she said that I deemed that was criticism, I would attack. Because I was so angry, and I was so angry all the time at her. I lived in a constant state of anger. So even when I was pleasant to her, the truth was I was angry. I wanted to shake her. I wanted to scream in her face, how dare you? How dare you hurt me? How dare you isolate me? How dare you abandon me when I needed you the most? You're my mother. You were supposed to protect me. It wasn't until I got far enough away from it and far enough away from her that I realized I was continuing a relationship with my mom, and the only one who was hurting was me. It wasn't like I had cut her out, so she was hurting because she didn't have her daughter, and I was hurting. I was there. I talked to her every day. We spent holidays together, but here I was carrying this emotional cross around my neck that was weighing me down. When I was around her, my muscles were tight all the time. I was so full of anger. And I couldn't take it anymore. It was crippling me. It was killing me. And she had already forgiven herself for what she had done. And thank God, because I don't want my mother to hurt. Why? Parenting is hard, man. I know now. It is hard. She wasn't right in what she did to me, but she can't punish herself forever. You learn from your mistakes, and you hopefully don't ever repeat them. So one day I decided in my late 20s that I was going to forgive her, that I was going to take the emotional cross off, as hard as it was, because let me tell you what else they're interesting about anger is it's like a security blanket. You're so afraid to forgive because it's almost as if you're saying what you did to me was no big deal. But guess what? That's not what I was saying at all. My 8 years of bashing her and attacking her, she knew crystal clear that what she did to me was not okay. But I couldn't do it anymore. It was killing me. Literally, like my hair was constantly falling out. It was affecting everything that I did and every relationship that I had. Choosing to forgive my mother is something I still work on every day. And it's been 10 years. Every day, anytime she says anything that I feel like I want to rah, I take a deep breath and I go, Ma, come on. Come on. And she'll be like, oh, she catches herself or whatever. It's just such a healthier environment. I don't carry that emotional cross anymore. My muscles are not full of toxicity. You've got to make the choice to forgive. It doesn't mean that what they did is forgotten. It doesn't mean that it wasn't wrong. But you got to make the choice to forgive and work towards forgiveness, or you will cripple yourself. I know that there are others out there right now that are living with anger from something that has been done, a wrong that has been done, a perceived injustice, and you can't let it go. But I am telling you that the only person that will suffer is you. You think your anger is making them suffer. It isn't. They have got to reckon with what they did on their own. They've got to find their forgiveness for themselves on their own. Your anger is only hurting you. And I'm talking to you right now because I've been there. I spent 8 years crippled with anger. It was destroying me physically, mentally, emotionally. Forget the self-medicating and all that other stuff we all try. It doesn't work. Make the choice to forgive. Take a deep breath and move towards that every day. Doesn't mean that you can't go back, that you won't have days where you slip back and you go, ugh! But let a half an inch of anger go a day. And before you know it, you will set yourself free. Because that emotional cross is going to break your back. I love you today. Have a great day.